We arrived in Alaska in mid-May, during the transition between winter and spring. The roads were clear, the crowds were thin, the ice was beginning to thaw. Alaska comes with a mythology attached to it: frontier, wilderness. We wanted to see for ourselves how much of it was true. For us, this was the start of a trip of a lifetime. We had 8 days ahead of us, and a route that would eventually take us from Anchorage deep into Alaska's interior. The first indication that Anchorage would be different came through the airport windows. Beyond the gates and jet bridges, mountains rose behind the city. Anchorage is home to nearly 300,000 people. It's Alaska's largest city, its transportation hub, and, for most visitors, the practical front door to the state. It's a modern American city built in a place that constantly reminds you how provisional a city can be. We collected the rental car and left the airport. A few moments later, there was a moose beside the road. We turned around to get another look. So, we just touched down not too long ago in Anchorage. We're gonna go check into our first hotel of the evening, a little bed and breakfast called Jewel Lake. But 30 seconds out of the airport, we saw our first moose. Very excited about that. Never seen one in person. I don't know if you're supposed to stop in the middle of traffic like we did. Probably not, but we did it anyway. This is already off to a great start. After dropping our bags, we drove to Point Woronzof on the edge of Cook Inlet. The point sits near the end of the airport runway. Photographers wait along the road for aircraft to pass low overhead. Behind them are woods thick enough to hide a 1,000-pound animal. We watched the planes. We found more moose. The strange thing was not that wildlife lived near Anchorage. It was how little separation there seemed to be between the human place and everything surrounding it. In most cities, nature survives in designated pockets. Not in Anchorage. It feels like nature runs the show, and residents are happy with that arrangement. Downtown Anchorage occupies a small grid overlooking the water. It's compact and easy to explore on foot, with restaurants, souvenir shops, and mountain views concentrated within a few blocks.
Legend has it when you rub the bear's tummy, it will bring you good luck.
Unfortunately, right after this, Amy broke her ankle, having horrible luck. We started at 49th State Brewing, where the wait for a table was close to 90 minutes. It's a popular restaurant with delicious in-house brews, but we needed food, so we had a beer, then walked a few blocks away to F Street Station. So we made our way over to 49th State Brewing for a quick couple of beers and a giant Bavarian pretzel, but we wanted to head another block down to F Street, F Street Station, to grab some food, maybe some oysters. I might convince Amy to break her oyster cherry.
I don't think I can do it.
Yeah? Fine, I'll feed it to you.
No, I don't. I really. You be adventurous for me.
Amy's never had these before. She's never had oysters. She first convinced me in Mexico a few years ago to have my first oyster. But this Alaska, so like these are fresh Alaskan oysters. So I don't know if she's going to be able to do this or not.
I'm so grossed out right now.
So yummy. We had a few rounds and lost track of time, which is easy to do when Alaska's midnight sun season is in full swing. The body keeps one schedule. The sky keeps another. All right, our first full day in Alaska, in Anchorage. We're on our way to the Hotel Captain Cook to meet our group to go see the Portage Glacier. It's one of the few excursions that we actually pre-purchased, but we're gonna see what this is all about because it seems kind of fun. And it was recommended to us by a couple of people, so let's go see. Portage is about 50 miles south of downtown Anchorage. To get there, you follow the beginning of the iconic Seward Highway, which follows Ptarmigan Arm, a narrow branch of Cook Inlet hemmed in by the mountains. Portage Valley was shaped by ice. Glaciers carved the mountains, moved stone through the valley, and left behind the lake we were about to cross. To see it, we boarded the Ptarmigan. During peak tourist season, the boat can carry roughly 150 passengers. On this voyage, there were less than 20 of us. Snow remained deep on the mountains, and a foot of ice still covered parts of the lake. The boat pulled away from the dock, and the lake began to show off its stunning features. The ice broke beneath the hull in long fractures. Pieces rolled away from the boat, turning in the gorgeous water. At the stern, a crew member began pulling chunks of ice from the lake. Amy saw what was happening, and I followed her. By the time I caught up, Amy was holding a piece of the lake in her hands. This is a familiar arrangement. I point a camera toward the scheduled attraction. Amy finds the real adventure. She's a certified explorer.
So cool.
For most of the crossing, the glacier remained hidden. Then the boat rounded the mountain. Portage Glacier rose directly from the water, filling the end of the lake. Glacier ice appears blue because it absorbs the longer red wavelengths of light while transmitting and scattering the shorter blue wavelengths. The farther light travels through the ice, the bluer it appears. We stayed in front of Portage for a while, watching the light move across the ice. There was nothing to accomplish there, no summit, no test of endurance. The point was to be present long enough to understand the scale of it. The shuttle returned us to Anchorage. We got into the rental car and doubled back down the same highway we had just traveled. The organized tour had brought us to the glacier and back to the city. What it hadn't given us was time to wander through Portage Valley on our own. So we traded efficiency for freedom and repeated the 50-mile drive. Not that we were complaining about the views. The Byron Glacier Trail begins near the far end of Portage Valley. It follows Byron Creek for less than a mile before the trees open onto the mountain. It's an easy trail by Alaska standards, relatively flat, well-traveled and busy with families and dogs. Byron Glacier sits above the valley, partly obscured by the accumulation of winter snow below it. So if you decide to take a few minutes, pull off the side of the road and check out Byron Glacier Trail, this is the reward. So this area right here is kind of the Byron Glacier observation point, but the trail actually does continue on a little bit, and it's more of a scramble over these rocks. Before leaving, we briefly explored the visitor center, which hadn't yet opened for the season. So we're at the Portage Glacier visitor center. And it either looks like, I don't know, someone's evil lair or like the Power Rangers command center.
I'm going evil lair because it's on the water.
Yeah.
There's probably a helicopter pad somewhere.
Yeah, it's a good choice, evil lair. Then we followed the road toward Whittier. The famous tunnel is the Anton Anderson Memorial Tunnel, 2.5 miles through Maynard Mountain, one lane shared by automobiles and trains. Passage is timed in alternating directions. We decided to skip that one. We instead went through the Portage Lake Tunnel, its 400-foot preamble. Our first full day in Alaska ended without fanfare. We had left Anchorage in the morning, crossed an icy lake, stood before one glacier and hiked to another. Then, we returned to the same city where the day began. That may be what Anchorage offers best. Not an escape, but a place where the boundary is unusually thin between civilization and nature. For now, there was still daylight, and 7 days of Alaska ahead of us.